Today we will discuss herbal treatments. Applying dry herb powder, which I told you about, should be as follows. Starting from here, from this part, the upper 2/3 of the forearm and half of the shin. This treatment is highly effective. I will now share all my secrets with you. I no longer use it because more effective methods are available. You can benefit from this knowledge. Herbs work best in mixtures when they are mixed together. Combining them is a great art in itself. Ideally, though, you should not mix them but apply the powder of individual herbs. Before doing this, you need to test it well. Start by smelling the herb. The key is not to apply any herb that is recommended for treating an illness if it doesn't resonate with you by smell. If this is the case, it won't help you and could only cause harm. It's better to avoid using it altogether. When they tell you that a particular medicine treats a specific disease, you can just laugh. If a remedy relates to the disease rather than the individual, it's simply misguided. I researched this issue, and it turned out that if an herb is known to treat a certain disease, it will be effective in treating a given person only about 30% of the time, or even less. If someone tells you that a specific pill or herb treats a certain disease, it only means it will work if it suits you. We've already discussed how to determine that. This information is included in my methodical guides. We will be distributing the methodical guides regarding food products. It's essential for you to follow the rules for testing by smell. Otherwise, your treatment won't be effective. I suggest you make a small first aid kit for all occasions. This first aid kit has been tested by many years of experience working with herbs. The herbs that I will now list resonate most with the organ I will be talking about now. This means that plants possess biological power. This biological power heals. The strongest treatment is biological, not chemical. Treatment through chemical effects is a much weaker method. Stone treatment dissolves cancer in about a month for nearly everyone, except in cases where the body no longer has the strength to fight the tumor. The same applies to conditions like asthma, diabetes, psoriasis, neurodermatitis, and other severe diseases. Almost everyone is cured, except for particularly sinful ones who don't believe the doctor and remain stubbornly attached to harmful habits, and so on. In general, it helps everyone. Herbs are generally less potent, and pills are even weaker. They have a chemical effect. They only impact the physical body of a person. Herbs act on the next layer after the physical body, pranamaya, which we discussed in previous lectures. It is strongly connected with the nervous system and hormonal functions. Disorders that occur at the level of hormonal function and nervous system most often arise from improper nutrition or disrupted daily routine. Such disorders are treated with herbs. More severe disorders are linked to you treating poorly people around you. We talked about how habits like eating meat, smoking, insulting others, engaging in immoral behavior, using drugs, or having abortions lead to more serious diseases. We had a lecture about this. We talked about the different levels of illness, how to assess them, and how to identify what level of disease a person has. Such diseases are no longer treated with herbs. They require specialized methods and special grace. The best healing method is to wish happiness to everyone. A deeper method involves chanting the holy names of God. Many people don't understand this method due to their nature. It's not possible for them to understand. If a person engages in self-realization, this understanding becomes accessible. If you experience an exacerbation of your disease, herbal treatment can help quickly relieve the exacerbation. You create a first aid kit using herbal treatment. There are simple herbs that you all know. If you don't know some, I'll guide you on where to find them. You just don't always know how to use them. Let's begin with A, calamus root. Phosphate stones can form in the kidneys and gallbladder. They form as a result of a person eating potatoes late and most often white bread. Eating bread or grains after 2 o'clock combined with poor digestion undoubtedly triggers protein metabolism. Mineral metabolism is disrupted in the body and phosphate stones begin to form. They dissolve quickly with the help of the calamus root. For an average dosage for everything, start with 1/4 of a teaspoon. You should adjust based on your reaction. 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you're not going to use it on a bandage, you can suck on it in your mouth. This is the next strongest method. Swallowing is the next strongest method. Boiling it into an infusion is the weakest method of herbal treatment. The strongest method involves making bandages with dry herbs. The next strongest is sucking on them in the mouth. There is a reflex effect on the nervous system through the jaws and mucous membranes. The weakest method is decoctions. Why are decoctions used the most? Because even if the herb doesn't suit you, it won't cause much harm. It is neutralized in the stomach and has a limited interaction with the stomach lining. If you suck on something that doesn't suit you, you'll feel adverse effects, you will feel it, and this will be the criterion that it doesn't suit you. It's best to test the herb very seriously. Calamus root also restores normal metabolism, disrupted by improper nutrition associated with eating bread and cereals at inappropriate times. It improves overall digestion and the absorption of proteins and minerals. Next, we have unroasted peanut shells. There are roasted peanuts. You need to find unroasted ones. They effectively treat vertebrae in the spine and joints. You need to grind it all in a coffee grinder. The coffee grinder needs to be pre-cleaned and washed. If the smell of coffee remains, all attempts to make medicine in it will have no success. The smell changes the quality of the product. You can also grind them in a mortar. The main thing is to create a fine powder. In general, you should know that the spine and joints are treated with shells, pits, and peels. The exceptions are herbs with very dense properties. For instance, hazelnut shells have a very strong effect on the spinal discs, but they significantly lower blood pressure, so they should be used carefully. Walnut has a suppressive effect on hormonal functions. Therefore, you will start losing hair on your head. You should use it carefully. Walnuts are generally cytostatic, meaning that they inhibit the growth of young cells. So walnuts and walnut shells are used to stop tumor growth. Orange peels are one of the best remedies for treating migraines and headaches. Apply bandages on the hands and feet at night, in the evening before sleep. If headaches are temporal or feel like a band around the head, they are migraines. They occur as a result of brain hypoxia. Most often, this disease is associated with a lack of humility and heightened sensitivity of a person. So, orange peels treat this particularly effectively. Star anise, a spice shaped like a star, is very good for asthma and inflammatory processes in the stomach. Asthma is also treated the same way. You need to apply bandages or suck on the spice in your mouth. Wild rosemary, an herb available at pharmacies, is effective for treating arrhythmias, high blood pressure, and nervous excitability. However, it should not be used for individuals with low blood pressure or depression combined with arrhythmia. Wild rosemary is effective for high stomach acidity as it reduces acidity and calms the nervous system. There is also such a root, Begonia root. It treats many inflammatory diseases. Certain plants contain anti-inflammatory agents. Amongst them, some plants treat inflammation in a wide range of organs, and some plants may have only a slight effect. We will now discuss the strongest anti-inflammatory agents from herbs. Begonia root treats inflammation in the kidneys, spine, joints, liver, brain, intestines, and spleen. You can also try it in other places. It might help. Yes, apply it liberally and rub. Banana peels improve blood circulation in the pancreas and lower blood sugar in diabetes and arrhythmia. They can also reduce overactive thyroid function. In plants, there is a natural harmony between the peel and the fruit, with the peel having the opposite qualities. If you can't eat a certain product, its peel often has opposite qualities. If you eat a small amount of peel together with the fruit, you might feel a positive effect. Birch bark treats allergies. Specifically, birch bark is one of the best anti-allergic remedies that exist. Here I mean not the outer bark, but the red bark from a thick tree. Avoid stripping the entire tree at once. If you see that someone has already torn it off, then open the next tree and ask the tree for forgiveness. Birch bark treats neurodermatitis, psoriasis, and eczema, but you should test it first. Lingonberry leaf is effective for treating glomerulonephritis or pneumonia. I'm sharing with you the best remedy for these diseases, you understand? It means that they work best. Lingonberry leaf treats glomerulonephritis, kidneys, and pneumonia. Valerian root treats hyperthyroidism, arrhythmia, and insomnia. It calms the nervous system. You also need to check it because it doesn't suit many people at all. Yellow mustard is effective for treating viral infections. The belief that a virus can't be killed is a misconception. Certain plants can selectively destroy the virus even without needing to be ingested. I usually treat viral colds simply by sprinkling a mixture on the back of the neck like this. Does it help? It helps. This method can cure the flu in just 1 or 2 days. You don't need anything else. You just need to know what to sprinkle, and that's it. Yellow mustard, a regular powder of yellow mustard, strengthens the immune system. Pomegranate fruits and peels are useful for treating anemia, iron deficiency, and inflammatory processes in the kidneys and spleen. Sweet clover seeds are the best remedy for enhancing immunity. From what I know, there's nothing better than sweet clover seed. Sweet clover is a fodder crop for cows to eat. You can find it in villages. It's not sold in pharmacies. You can find it in collective farms. You can use both white and yellow. Both will treat immunity, with yellow being more effective. Sweet clover treats immunity, flu, and viral infection. It works particularly well for children, including infants. Sprinkle it down the back of the neck for 2 weeks. Within 3 hours, the flu is gone. That's it. What? Yes, you need to pour out the whole bag. You see, this is from the outside. It's weaker from the outside, so pour out the whole bag and put the child in this bag for 4 hours. A small pinch is often sufficient. That's it. Nothing more is needed. You don't understand what biological power is. Biological power refers to the resonance with the brain, with a person's subtle energy body. Our subtle energy body is so sensitive that if any of you just think badly about someone else, it already affects the other person. Plants possess biological power. If they are not suitable for treating you, even a large quantity won't help. Therefore, if you drink, let's say some herb, and it doesn't help you within 2 days, it means it doesn't help you at all. You don't need to drink it for months as often recommended. If the biological power aligns with you, there will be a good result immediately. How to determine this? You just need to smell it. I'm guiding you on which plant will treat what. I've told you about the most essential plants. Create a first aid kit with vials of powders. If you get sick, you don't even need to determine what hurts and why it hurts. Just smell these plants. Whichever one smells fresh, drink that, and everything will pass. It's a very simple and effective method. No need to complicate things with self-diagnosis. Then you need to do the following. You need to apply the powder with sweet clover here to the center of the forehead, and you look directly at the whites of the eyes. If the whites of the eyes fill with light and become lighter, filled with light, it means that the treatment is suitable. If they darken, it means it's not suitable. You will see how the strength of the soul's radiance increases through the eyes. Light, fire, and subtle energy, the fire of the mind, manifest through the eyes. The eyes are connected to a person's mind, and both the mind and eyes have a fiery nature. Thus, the sparkle in the eyes is not just a reflection of light. This is the subtle energy of a person's thoughts. That's why we talked about how you can gauge another person's attitude by their eyes. Kind eyes, angry eyes. People's attitudes can stem from bad fate or bad mood, or because someone is directly negatively disposed towards us. Therefore, when a child's eyes fill with light and the whites become bright white, you'll see a white color. It means that the treatment is suitable. If it's not like that, it means that the treatment is not suitable. Most often it's suitable if it's the flu. Most often it will be like that. Allspice berries. When the stones have already started to come out, make bandages using allspice. If allspice isn't suitable, use cloves. One of the two will help. The stones will come out, the pain will decrease significantly, and you won't need painkillers. The stone will just come out calmly. You need to do this on the forearm and shin as well. St. John's wort, herb. Often people don't know how to treat fungal infections. If you mix St. John's wort 1-on-1 with ghee and apply it to the feet and the affected areas, it treats fungal infections effectively. This therapeutic effect remains stable. Well, you still need to apply it for about 2 to 3 weeks. St. John's wort powder. Additionally, for increased appetite, you can drink St. John's wort. It reduces appetite. It also treats hormonal disorders, including infertility in many cases. Whether it suits you or not, you need to check by smelling it. Ginger root is an Indian spice that strengthens the immune system and treats allergic skin diseases. It's one of the best remedies for treating neurodermatitis, eczema, and so on. Calendula flowers treat tonsillitis. Calendula is very effective for treating follicular tonsillitis and inflammatory processes in the heart and kidney pelvis. Cabbage leaf. Cabbage leaf powder treats migraines and stimulates appetite. If your head starts hurting in the evening, it's best to use orange peels because you'll get very hungry later if you use a cabbage leaf. Eating at night undoubtedly leads to weight gain. If a person wants to lose weight, they should stop eating what shouldn't be eaten in the evening. It's not recommended to eat grains and sugar in the evening. If you want to gain weight, it's best to eat cake, sugar, plus grains in the evening. It will undoubtedly help. Green cardamom pods treat spasmodic conditions of blood vessels and cardiovascular insufficiency. Feather grass can only be used in small doses, very strong, microdoses, 1/10 of a teaspoon or less. It treats rheumatism and polyarthritis. It has a very strong effect. Curly dock root treats varicose veins. The nature of this root is similar to our muscles. The root strengthens all the muscles in the body. Apply it as bandages overnight, and your muscular system will be strengthened. Weightlifters may use it to improve their weightlifting results. If a weightlifter engages in weightlifting all his life, lifting weights, they may be born as a very strong animal of some kind in their next life. It would be a very good result to be reborn as an elephant, for example. An elephant can lift heavy weights. Dock root is a treatment of varicose veins, hernias of all localizations, and myocardial dystrophy. Coriander seeds. When we eat bread incorrectly, it causes metabolic disorders. Coriander seeds treat this. So when we bake bread, we need to add coriander. It also treats parasitic diseases, oncology, vitiligo. It treats vitiligo because this disease is associated with changes in the adrenal glands. Coriander activates and normalizes the pigment cells, a rare property among herbs, and few herbs are effective at this. Cinnamon. If you like coffee, you need to stop liking it. To normalize your tone again, use cinnamon instead. Cinnamon increases the nervous system's tone without negative side effects. You can use it liberally as you wish. Cinnamon doesn't do anything bad to the body, it's a harmless product. But it can raise blood pressure, so if you suffer from hypertension, don't drink it. Dried cow manure is one of the best medicines to have at home. If you have an inflammatory process, it instantly removes inflammation. It's ideal for emergency situations. Let's say a severe inflammatory process of an allergic nature is developing rapidly, like hives or laryngeal edema. If you immediately make bandages with cow manure, it stops instantly. Within a few seconds, the person already feels better. Such is its power. Dried cow manure treats all inflammatory processes in the body, including high blood sugar, allergic skin diseases, and bronchial asthma. Nettle root increases breast milk production in nursing mothers when there's no milk or little milk. Nettle root treats this very quickly and normalizes the function of the pituitary gland if disturbed. Great burnet root is the best remedy for bleeding. You won't find better. But if the great burnet root doesn't suit you, then you need to use nettle or shepherd's purse. Turmeric root is effective for blood purification. This spice is a treatment for staphylococcal infections and anemia. Turmeric is best for blood purification. The best for increasing the growth of blood tissue is the common cherry. Sucking the sour cherry fruit in your mouth and not swallowing it immediately enhances this effect. Bay leaf treats cystitis and urethritis. If you have a sick bladder, it most often helps. Flaxseed is one of the best remedies for treating increased thyroid function and thyrotoxicosis. If you make bandages from flax seeds, everything passes instantly. The person's condition improves very quickly. Flaxseed also has an anti-inflammatory effect on the kidneys, increases diuresis, and treats myopia. I used to treat myopia this way and it improved, but very slowly. At least there will be stabilization and it won't progress. Flaxseed treats arrhythmias and disturbed heart rhythm. Using bandages is the best method to treat with herbs. You won't find better. Doesn't matter, 20 or 40, nothing will change. If you store flaxseed correctly, it will remain effective over time. Rosehip fruits are the ultimate general tonic, the best general tonic. If you're looking for options, look no further. Just rosehip fruits are all you need. They provide strength to the body and can even help those who are severely exhausted. There's no need to use anything else because it has virtually no adverse side effects on the body. It gently improves health and gives strength. You should drink rosehip tea every day, rather than tea from a plant that negatively affects the body. Brew rosehip with seeds and drink. You can grind it and make bandages from it with seeds. But as a general tonic, you can simply drink the tea. You don't necessarily have to apply it topically. Rosehip root can and should be used to treat inflammatory processes in the kidneys, liver, spleen, lungs, intestines, joints, and spine. It's one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory remedies available. Different parts of the rosehip plant provide similar benefits, but in different ways. If a plant is in pure goodness, you can use all its parts without any harm to the body. If one part suits you, most likely, another part will suit you as well. For example, plum, it's in pure goodness and you can eat whatever you want. When the sap hardens, you can just tear it off and eat it and nothing will happen. Or the root, for instance, you can brew it and drink it as tea. The same goes for apple trees and similar plants. All parts of plants that are in pure goodness can be consumed. Each part offers unique effects. The trunk mainly affects the nervous system and tissue growth. The bark possesses anti-inflammatory and protective properties. Branches enhance energy in the body and digestion. Fruits increase optimism, strength, and fire in the body. Leaves improve digestion if they suit you. They have a calming effect on the psyche. They heal the psyche. The roots dissolve tumors, act as an immune defense, and have a general strengthening effect. Different plant parts have diverse effects. The nature of the plant is one, but the effects of its various parts of the body are different. Sea buckthorn fruits heal ulcers and skin wounds and are the best remedy for burns. If sea buckthorn is applied immediately after a burn, no scars remain after the burns. Oats are the best remedy for treatment in general. If a person is over 45, they should eat oats every day for very good health into old age, if they avoid meat at the same time. Enjoy oats in whatever form you want, oatmeal or sprouted, whatever you like. The best is simply hulled oats, to be eaten as regular porridge. Oats strengthen muscles and improve blood circulation. They relax and calm the nervous system. They treat blood vessels of the brain, heart, pancreas, kidneys, liver, lungs, joints, spine, intestines, and reproductive organs. It's one of the best remedies for the pancreas, heart, and brain blood vessels. Wormwood root is the best remedy for treating parasitic diseases of the entire body. It destroys all parasites. If a person is a parasite themselves, it will destroy them as well. You can check this. Motherwort should be used for high blood pressure and to calm the nervous system to treat insomnia. You shouldn't overuse motherwort or drink it for a long time because it can lead to depression over time. Paeonia anomala root treats schizophrenia and nervous disorders. It's one of the best remedies. Chamomile flowers heal all wounds in the gastrointestinal tract, some infections, and so on. Sometimes it's suitable for tonsillitis. Next, ghee. It treats all diseases associated with hypothermia, inflammatory processes in the lower back, joints, vascular spasms, limbs, and inflammation of the appendages. All of these come from hypothermia, so they are treated simply. You need to rub ghee on your hands and feet, and that's it. Nothing else needs to be done. Applying ghee to the spine and joints promotes recovery, improves digestion, and elevates mood. In your area, when it's very cold, everyone should adopt this nightly routine for quick health improvements. You don't need to do much else. For a full-body rub-on, 1 to 1.5 teaspoons is enough. There should just be a smell from it. You don't need to apply so much that your entire bed gets smeared with ghee. You just need to rub it into the skin, that's all. You can apply it to the whole body if you're feeling extremely cold or when you're completely frozen. Licorice root is sometimes referred to as the second ginseng. More accurately, it's the first because ginseng lowers a person's energy downwards. Ginseng is only needed when you are trying to conceive children. If a person constantly drinks ginseng, their sexual functions increase, but life is shortened. You can use these qualities. Some believe in living a short but fulfilling life. This leads to being reborn in the next life as a creature that enjoys life fully. These are dogs. That will be the next form of life. Ginseng lowers energy, while licorice root elevates the energy. Thus, licorice has a strengthening effect. It treats all organs along the central meridian, larynx, stomach, trachea, intestines, uterus, spine, and so on. Pine bark quickly treats anemia and pneumonia. You don't need to take any antibiotics. Jacob's ladder root treats tuberculosis. Apply bandages on hands and feet, and tuberculosis passes very quickly within a few weeks. These foci can even dissolve stones. Nothing remains at all, as if you were never sick. Pine root treats the spine and joints and restores the periosteum. That is, the periosteum is restored by the pine root. There are also date pits. Similar to licorice, these provide strength. Date pits should not be thrown away. If someone has bad joints or developing cataracts, simply chew persimmon seeds. You will be treating your joints, and the cataracts will pass. When stones are used, cataracts in the eye dissolve within 3-4 weeks, leaving no trace. Grapefruit seeds are one of the most powerful antimicrobial agents, hundreds of times stronger than antibiotics. However, if it's not suitable for you, as it's a product of passion, it will act against you just as it does against microbes. Therefore, you need to carefully check if it's suitable for you first and then use it. All microbial processes in the body, all microbes have no chance. It's enough to take it twice and everything will pass. You don't need to suffer for long. Yarrow root treats malignant tumors, mastopathy, and polyps. Mastopathy almost always dissolves if you apply these bandages made from yarrow root. If someone uses this knowledge to earn big money and doesn't spread spiritual knowledge at the same time, they will end up in the lower, hellish planets. or rather in the higher hellish planets where this treatment is used. I talked about this in the previous lecture. There, herbal treatment is highly developed, but they don't talk about spiritual knowledge at all, and people there live long but meaningless lives. This life doesn't give any meaning to a person, and in the next life they descend to lower planets, experiencing great suffering. These planets are very civilized. They have many computers, and it's a highly developed civilization, but there's no spirituality at all. We are now heading in this direction, and there the landscape is very gloomy. I've even seen in some computer games these kinds of plots with such gloomy landscapes, very gloomy people with such very dull, stone-like faces. All this information comes from there, and whoever is strongly fascinated by this undoubtedly ends up on these planets, in places where there's no sun, where sunlight doesn't reach. Bean pods are good for the spine, joints, strengthen smooth muscles, and have anti-inflammatory effects. It treats the spine and joints very well. Bean pods act gently and are suitable for almost everyone. They have an anti-inflammatory effect on the digestive tract. Fennel seeds, this spice is in pure goodness, therefore it's suitable for almost everyone. It treats bronchial diseases, stomach issues, high acidity, and excessive appetite. It reduces appetite. Two things that reduce appetite very well are St. John's wort and fennel. Black pepper fruits boost immunity and treat viral infections, strengthen the immune system, and also kill viruses. Black pepper also treats allergic diseases. Burmarigold treats allergic diseases in many cases. In general, this is the best. You don't need anything else if you have all of this. And if you apply bandages, then at least you can remove severe disorders in the body. If you use this first aid kit in combination with that diet, well, there's no diet really. You just need to eat everything on time and not eat what you shouldn't eat. That means you can't eat what's been killed. Everything else can be eaten, but at the right time, that's all. You just need to figure out what suits you better, what suits you less. We've talked about all of this. You need to get samples of all the products available in this area. And if you follow the diet, daily routine, and use these products, you will cure anything. You can cure or greatly improve anything. Even malignant tumors will not develop. Because the main cause of malignant tumors is what I've listed. There are practically no other causes. You need to forgive the person you're very angry with. You need to repent for the committed crime, killing children in the womb. Breast and uterine cancer is the most common oncological disease now because abortion has been legalized. You may agree with this or not. I know this for sure because I see the connection. I can even tell a person when they did it and when their cancer started, so we can argue about this, of course, but I've seen many people with this disease. Most often cancer occurs because a person loves to eat meat very much. It's also caused by abortions. The third cause is smoking. These are the main initial causes, and in fourth place is anger, just hatred towards a person. These are the most common causes of oncology. Of course, you can put forward theories, all kinds of parasitic ones, that parasites are the cause. These parasites can appear. There are indeed such cases when cancer develops due to parasites, but not in all cases. It's rare, but it happens. These parasites also develop as a result of the person themselves being like a parasite. They simply destroy their own immunity with their mental state. That means their subtle energy body affects the resistance of the body. In other words, a person deprives themselves of life. This happens. We have two forces in our body, the desire to live and the desire to die, two forces. We are all aware of only one force within ourselves. Well, we've already talked about this. I've mentioned it. You should also listen to this lecture carefully and learn it. What is the desire to live? Signs of the desire to live, when a person wants to live, when a person wants to die. If you know this clearly, you won't have problems. Who remembers what are the signs when a person wants to die? Feeling sleepy, reluctant to do anything, being pessimistic, overeating, wanting to eat meat, and so on. There are such signs, there are many of them. You need to know them all. This is the desire to die, which means the body will degrade, will get sick, and illnesses will increase. You need to test yourself in the morning. If you wake up early, no later than 6:30 a.m., otherwise you have no chance of being healthy. We talked about this too. It's related to the movement of the sun. You can try differently, but it won't work. If at this time one wakes up and doesn't want to get out of bed, it means one has a desire to die, not a desire to live. I want to sleep. That means one doesn't want to act. One wants, on the contrary, to destroy oneself. A person says, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep and I'm tired of everything. I'm exhausted. and from this sleep the person will get more and more tired, until finally one rots oneself away. Their thoughts will gradually transition into depression. The whole existence will change. This comes from unloved work. When a person works and doesn't like doing anything, one just works for passion, for money, then gradually one gets tired of life. Because there's no meaning in this life. We don't live for this. We live for love, for happiness. Everyone knows this, but everyone achieves it differently. So I can answer your questions. I've already talked about how to treat the flu. I gave the treatment scheme. They influence the mind layer and the intelligence layer. The touch of a holy person bathing in holy rivers has an effect. This action is already deeper. It can affect the deepest structure of a person. It's associated with holy people, and only chanting the holy names of God and listening to the scriptures from the mouth of a pure person, absolutely sinless. Then a person cleanses their entire existence at once. It's the most powerful healing. You can test yourself. Do I want to progress at all? If a person is absolutely pure, they have no particular flaws, they live in one of the holiest places in the world. There are 5,000 temples there, and mainly people who are engaged in spiritual development live there. If you don't like how this person sings, it most often means that you want to degrade, because there are desires to degrade inside. What does it mean to desire degradation rather than progress? It means wanting to have more sex, overeating, wanting more material things, not wanting spiritual things. One wants more matter, and matter increases in quantity on the lower planets. Everything becomes stiff there. Our body consists of 87 or more % water. That means it's quite an aqueous environment. On lower planets, there's less water in the body, more dry matter, and everything becomes wooden-like. It's harder to live. There are denser living beings there. On higher planets, on the contrary, the structure is more subtle. And we won't be able to see anyone from the higher planets. They can walk here with us, but their structure is very subtle, and they shine very brightly. If they remove their radiance, you won't see them. But if they start to glow, you'll just see light, just like I do. Therefore, it's very difficult. You can distinguish by this music. It's a test. Sometimes you like the music, but it causes heavy sensations. This is cleansing happening. This cleansing is very necessary in healing when spiritual practice heals a person. A person chants some prayer. The first stage is cleansing. It's hard for them, and they can't enter a church. Check yourself if you want to enter a church or not. If you don't want to enter, it means you have spiritual antagonism and you will degrade in your spiritual life. This needs to be overcome within yourself, because this is not the purpose of human life. I told you in the last lecture that out of 8,400,000 life forms, only 400 are intelligent. And this period we are in, we have just slightly peeped out of animal life forms. This is the very first stage. Many civilized beings in the universe perceive us as animals with 2 legs and a smart head. Because our behavior is like that of animals, we behave like animals. We want to have sex, drink. This is an animal way of life. On higher planets, they engage in other things. They don't think about this anymore. We must crawl out, and then we will be born in a more favorable environment. This is healing information for us. Because the best treatment is the treatment of our existence. Ultimately, everything is designed for happiness. Is it possible to treat an ingrown toenail without surgical intervention? An ingrown toenail mainly occurs due to excessive arrogance on the big toe. The big toe represents I. The nail is my crude strength, protective force. When a person becomes arrogant, excessively increases their protective force, defends against everyone, their nail starts to grow excessively. It can be treated. There are such very caustic plants which overcome others' arrogance. This is the root of celandine. If you apply it, it eats away this nail. The root of elecampane also works, but in general, one needs to overcome their bad character. Most often, this is the exact reason. It can be caused by stubbornness, pushiness, or when a person walks in very tight shoes for a long time. This is also a form of stubbornness. Many say, buy bigger shoes, but one says, I don't care. How to get rid of herpes? Herpes stems from aggressiveness. If a person is aggressive, then viruses are also aggressive towards them. Nothing remains without a trace. If we behave aggressively, then some aggression will also be applied against us. If there's no one to apply aggression against us, then a very small one will be found. If there's no big one, then a small one will be found. Herpes is a chronic viral infection if a person is very irritable. Often when children don't obey their parents, when there's a bad atmosphere in the family, children frequently develop herpes. This happens due to tension. How to treat it? You need to remove this tension. There are plants that overcome this tension. It's sweet clover seed. You can use it. But don't forget also that we change ourselves. Do wooden bracelets also need to be selected individually? Undoubtedly. Tulasi is suitable for everyone. Tulasi is a sacred tree. There is one personality, her name is Vrinda Devi. She gives power to Tulasi. So Tulasi consists of her power. If you walk clockwise around the sacred Tulasi tree, it removes bad karma. In order to walk around it, you need to have it first, and it only grows for those who don't eat meat, fish, and have a good character. It's very sensitive. If someone treats other people badly, it immediately dies. You can look for different reasons, but the main reason is exactly this. It has a very delicate character. But if it grows, it frees a person from sins. Tulasi is suitable for everyone, except those who want to degrade. Juniper is suitable for many people because it is in pure goodness. Sandalwood is suitable for many people. It reduces unnecessary fire, anger, and cools a person, and it also cools from the unnecessary sun. Therefore, in very hot weather, you can apply sandalwood to your hands, feet, and forehead on the sides to cool your thoughts and will. If you cool yourself by applying sandalwood, the will cools down. If your will cools down, the sun won't harm you. Also, if one has aggressive, unnecessary thoughts, they will cool down. The sun won't harm a person either. The sun is like a test. Therefore, when a person is born in a sunny area, they have two options. Either they will become a good person, or they will die quickly. That's why there are many diseases that quickly can cause death, literally within a few weeks. And in our area, we have more opportunity to think, to survive in bad consciousness. Is it possible to drink dairy cream instead of milk in the morning and evening? Yes, because it's also milk. Can one add clarified butter or butter to milk and cream? You can also do that because it's also part of milk. It's not curdled milk, and all of this is made from whole milk. Is bull manure and bull urine different from cows? Of course it's different, undoubtedly, but the effect on us is approximately the same. What treats pyelonephritis? Interesting combination. What treats pyelonephritis and sexual obsession? It's an absolutely bad combination. Very similar diseases, pyelonephritis and sexual obsession. We all have sexual obsession. Everyone who is born here has it. Everyone who is born on this earth. This is due to the fact that the soul has the potential to love. Every living being has the desire to love. It can be expressed in only two ways, either to love God or to love the opposite sex. Those who love the opposite sex degrade if they direct all their love in this direction. Of course, it is necessary. This love is needed. It is needed for the appearance of offspring, for the existence of a family. All this is necessary. But if a person directs all their strength in this direction, they will be born as an animal in the next life. A person should develop love for God. If they develop this love, they shine like 1,000 suns. The power of this love is 1,000 times stronger than sexual obsession, thousands of times stronger, and it never ends. It's practically impossible for us to understand this because no one tells us about it, but I have seen such people. Those who possess such a state of happiness that when you're near such a person, you become imbued with their strength and forget about all other desires that arise from our birth. Such desires arise with our birth. How to get rid of this? One needs to engage in chanting the holy names of God, reading prayers. And then a person is filled with a different strength. Their energy then doesn't descend downwards, doesn't press on the sexual centers, but rises upwards and causes a feeling of happiness. Because the feeling of happiness doesn't arise in the lower part of the body, it arises in the heart and in the head. When energy rises upwards, a feeling of happiness arises in the head. A person experiences a state of happiness. At first, when a girl and a boy meet, their upper centers are activated if it's a more or less pure love, and then they have a feeling of happiness in their heart and head. Then if they use this love for the purpose of self-enjoyment and not to raise good children and create a strong family, if they simply want to enjoy each other, they don't particularly need anything else from each other, then their energy gradually descends. After some time, they experience disgust towards each other. They feel strong disappointment, aversion to life even. This always happens. But people, being naive, think that they were just unlucky. They made a mistake in choosing a person. They try to look for another person, then the same thing happens, because such is the nature of this kind of love. But if a person treats another person differently, they know how to relate correctly, why a family is created and how it is created, then love can remain sublime for a lifetime. But the most sublime love is towards God. A person will never be able to experience such love from another person as they can experience towards God. Never. It's impossible. The power of this love is indescribable. But if you become interested in this, you will learn about many people who have truly experienced real love, the true power of love. Nothing else cures sexual obsession. You can only slow down a person's life potential. Just give them sedatives that kill their desire to live. They will then be in depression. There are such methods, but they don't help at all. Therefore, you just need to change your inner direction, and then everything will fall into place in life. Your questions are so diverse. How to properly store flax seeds. All seeds and plants are well preserved in a dry place. Cold is also needed for their proper storage. Therefore, it's better to keep them in the refrigerator in cold and darkness. This is the most ideal option for storage. Dryness, cold, darkness. Banana peels can be dried somewhere in a warm place. They will dry on their own. You don't need to do anything with them. They turn black in the process, but that's okay. It's their nature. Chicory is a product of degradation, and there's nothing good in it. Propolis and bee venom can be used in some cases, but you need to know that it's a product of bee destruction. Therefore, it carries bad karma. What do you know about Maharishi? Absolutely nothing. I know that he was a great man who practiced yoga. But to say that I know something, I would have to live near him for at least 5 years. Then I could say that I know something. Otherwise, I can't say anything. I can say something about transcendental meditation based on the sound of a mantra because I practice it. There are 2 types of such meditation. The first type is when a person pronounces the mantra themselves, and the second is when they listen to the mantra of someone who should be listened to. When the Mahamantra is pronounced by a holy person, you can listen to this chanting of the holy names of God. We have a recording of Srila Prabhupada chanting the Mahamantra. He is a very exalted saint. You can also listen to the chanting of the holy names of God. You can do it yourself, but for this you need to believe in it a little at least. But you don't even have to believe, just conduct an experiment. I know people who simply exercised and ran while listening to chanting of the holy names of God. Even in this case, it helped them a lot. Anyone can always use it, always in any life situation. Do you use Ayurvedic knowledge in your practice? I use it every day, every second. Otherwise, why bother with it? How to get rid of bulimia? You need to eat on time. Bulimia is gluttony. For this, you need to fall in love with some activity. Most often, gluttony occurs because a person experiences excessive sexual attraction, but they cannot realize it. Therefore, they start overeating. Because there is a meridian of action in a person, and this meridian is always associated with pleasure. The stomach, tongue, voice, genitals, everything is on the same line. And all this is nourished by the deepest strength of a person. If a person is not satisfied, has no happiness in life, then they either overeat or start engaging in excessive sex, or yells at everyone around, starts to experience anger. But to get rid of all these things, you need to engage in your favorite activity, engage in spiritual practice. And then a person becomes calm because they are in a state of happiness and joy. They have no problems. And so you can treat excessive gluttony. For this, you also need to regulate your daily routine. If a person eats at the wrong time, these negative character traits are intensified. How to help if the bones of big toes hurt and are growing? This happens from excessively tense and unemotional, joyless work. When a person works a lot, one needs to work with love, and these bones will not grow. What to advise? Elecampane roots can dissolve them, but it's not for everyone, not suitable for all. How to prepare prasad? Prasad is food offered to God. Offering food is very simple. You just need to repeat the holy names while cooking. Then the food is filled with spiritual power. If a person eats such food just once, they will get rid of many sins. There is such an understanding of things that when a person stops eating meat, fish and eggs, it's not enough yet, because plants are also living beings, and when we use them for food, they also die. This is also a sin, but not as big. It is written in the Bible and in the Vedas. In the Bible, in the original sources of the Bible, you can find it there. But now you won't see this information in the Bible. You can read the Gospel of the Essenes, it's there. It states that humans are meant to eat flowers, fruits, roots, milk, and so on. It's written there, but it doesn't mention that meat is intended for human consumption. And this means that food is given to us so that we don't degrade if we eat this food. To progress, we can purify the food we eat if it consists of vegetables, fruits, dairy products. For this, we need to offer it to God. That means that God is in our heart if we say to Him, just eat. He simply eats with His inner gaze. All His functions have the same power. God is near us. Always, every second, He knows all our desires and notes them. So when we want something, He will fulfill it, but depending on how many bad deeds we have done. These desires of ours are broken. That means at some point in time, our negative actions and some of our desires reach us. God wants to fulfill our desire, but our negative actions hinder it. And then, let's say, if we want a very beautiful wife, we get approximately what we want, but she has all our shortcomings, so it's such a combination. Therefore, if we offer food to God, He automatically eats it with His energy, and thus the food is freed from sin. But meat food cannot be offered to God because it is very offensive. Onions, garlic, and food that is in degradation, as it lowers energy downwards, should not be offered to God. I will give you a table that shows which foods are in pure goodness, passion, and which are in degradation. If tonsils or appendix are removed, how does the appendix affect health? The appendix is actually related to volitional restlessness. When a person is very tense, that means our right hemisphere of the brain and the intestines are connected to human activity. When a person has such tension in their activities, everything hinders them from doing things. They are told, you can't do this, you can't do that, don't do this, and they don't know what to do at all. Then they automatically develop an inflammatory process in the appendix, and then bacteria get in there. And in this case, acute appendicitis occurs, most often in children because children's activities are most often restricted, and thus a person can kill their child simply with words. It's not difficult for them to develop appendicitis or tonsillitis, because tonsillitis is also associated with excessive assertiveness. So, these tonsils are the protection of our speech function. If a person speaks and their speech is very tense, then automatically these tonsils become inflamed from the tense speech. If a child has very tense relationships with adults, they have to argue constantly, shout or get angry, keep emotions to themselves, then they often have tonsillitis. This generally happens from hatred in the family when hatred is cultivated in the family. As for appendicitis, it only happens because they are forbidden to do something. And so, in these two cases, you can kill your child. Inflammation of the tonsils leads to the development of rheumatism, and one can die. The heart or kidneys are affected, and in the second case, a person can suffer and die instantly, because action is the basis of our life. We cannot live without action. If a person is not allowed to do anything, then they will lose the desire to live. Therefore, it's necessary to correctly direct the child's activities, not prohibit them. You just need to show them what to do. But this is related to the nose. That means treating your child badly. Most often in this case, the child is unwanted. You don't like them. Aversion to a person causes adenoids. Aversion to the child can cause adenoids. What do you think about Reiki? Who knows what Reiki is? Very few people know. In the Himalayas, there was a very elevated doctor who received some powerful energy from the higher planets. And he got the ability to transmit this to other people. If a person receives initiation in this, they begin to heal others. But unfortunately, in this age of degradation, all types of energy transmission, knowledge transmission weakens very quickly, and there is little chance that the one who gives you this initiation will transmit to you some small particle of this energy. Therefore, I have seen many people who have actually achieved some results, and they themselves say that there is some power, but they don't particularly feel it. Therefore, it exists, but it doesn't work in our time. How to treat arthritis? Maybe we need to change consciousness. Absolutely right, because arthritis occurs due to desperation, internal tension. When a person is in despair, in tension, working very mechanically, in desperation to overcome their poverty, they get arthritis from this, and it's also caused by eating meat. Therefore, of course, you need to change your consciousness undoubtedly. First of all, you need to stop eating meat, fish. This will help immediately. It will be easier. Now, many healers treat with energies. What is it? Most often they treat using prana energy. To put it more correctly, they treat superficial energy layers, pranamaya, and then they pay very close attention to how energy moves in their hands, whether it's warm or cold. This is one of the most ineffective methods of treatment because diseases mainly occur at deeper energy levels. And what this treatment does, when such hand movements are used, is that the energies are somehow balanced at the pranamaya level, which means that the work of the nervous system and hormonal system is temporarily restored. But literally after a day, 2 or 3, since the disease has a deeper nature, this restoration is gradually quickly disrupted, and the person very quickly feels that everything has returned to the old state. And such a person who treats in this way can give 20-40 sessions and the person feels they need just a little more, it's already getting better, then it's bad again. And they go for 20-30 sessions to such a doctor. This treatment can go on indefinitely. Those who are really advancing, they start to take care of their mind. They purify their mind by wishing happiness to everyone or through the right attitude. They already study what pure goodness is and try to act in pure goodness. And then when they use these energies for treatment, they already tune into a state of happiness, joy, and they try to evoke the same state in another person. So they are already helping at the level of the mind, and the person becomes calmer. In general, such treatment is more effective. At least if the person simply doesn't leave the state of calmness, they can already recover during such treatment. The next level is when a person treats at the level of knowledge, that is Vijnanamaya, the level of intelligence. It's enough for them to simply touch another person. There's no need to wave hands, and this is a very high level. Only great saints can treat like this. I've heard that many Christian saints have reached this level. Many Vedic saints, Vaishnava saints, they are called Vaishnava saints. I've heard of many such cases, including Jesus Christ. This is a very high level that can be seen very rarely. There's definitely no one here. Maybe there are a few people on earth, 3 maximum now, so don't think you have such abilities. For this, you need to be a sinless person. Therefore, it's best to treat with knowledge, meaning to explain how to live correctly. Then even if you don't have any special qualities, you will be able to help another person. So listen to lectures, study. Obliterating arthritis most often occurs from smoking. This is the main reason. Sometimes it occurs due to restless tension, irritability, fussiness over trifles, but very rarely. One has to be very restless to develop such a disease. To cure it, one needs to stop being restless and quit smoking, which is very difficult to do. Do the souls of husband, wife, and children meet? Of course they do, undoubtedly. If people are very strongly attached to each other in family life, they have a sincere, warm attitude towards each other, then in the next life they can be born in opposite roles because the karma has developed in the opposite way. But this doesn't mean they always meet. It happens quite rarely if there's a strong attachment. Most often the soul is quite lonely in this world. It can have relatives only for one life, most often. Often people meet from previous lives, undoubtedly. This happens quite frequently. You feel that you've seen this person a long time ago, they're familiar, close, but you don't remember when. It happens like that. How to make them meet? It's not necessary to do this. We are very attached to our relatives and think that we have no other meaning in life except for our relatives. In fact, we should understand that the main purpose is self-realization in this life. It can be done. You just need to think a lot about your relatives. Then you will undoubtedly meet. There's no problem with that. Is it possible to wear gold bracelets or watches? You can wear gold if you are cold. Most often gold warms, but it's better not to wear silver here because it's cold. You can wear it in summer, but not in winter. Silver cools a person very much. You quoted the saying, a woman gets married only once. How would you respond to the fact that the second marriage is successful? What does it mean? I'll explain. It's very simple. You can get married even 10 times, but the true feeling towards your husband will be, when a woman got married once, she had no one before her marriage. If a girl had no relationship before and she's faithful to her first man, then this love will be the deepest and purest. It will give the most positive results in life. The most important thing for a girl is to choose the right spouse in life. This is possible only in one way, if she very seriously consults with her mother, with her father, if she studies this question and doesn't base it on her feelings. If you put 2 young people together for a while, they develop feelings for each other. This happens automatically. If you take 2 young people on a dance floor, put them next to each other, then after some time, most often some feelings arise. They call it love, but it's not love. It's a contact of the lower centers. Therefore, lust arises. Such love doesn't bring any happiness. True happiness arises when a girl has correctly chosen a friend for life, a protector, and someone who will lead her forward to spiritual life. There is such a concept as purity. Virginity means purity. A woman becomes impure when she has many sexual contacts. She loses her purity. Each sexual contact means a husband. Connections are never lost. They remain with a person for life. If a woman has such contact with someone, he becomes her husband in a way. He remains her husband for life. She shares karma with him, gives him half, he takes half from her. An exchange occurs. This exchange causes a very strong split of personality. the woman feels that she doesn't fully belong to her husband. She doesn't experience complete happiness in married life. Women truly get married only once. Truly means she feels calm, feels protected, feels good. She experiences great happiness because she feels purity and faithfulness within herself. This is exactly the feeling of happiness for a woman, when she feels purity and faithfulness. When she doesn't feel these qualities, there's no great happiness because she feels neither faithfulness nor purity. Most often she blames her husband for this. She thinks that he's not a good enough person. In fact, this happens due to lack of knowledge. If a girl acts correctly, she gets married correctly and experiences great happiness. She realizes the meaning of her life in this way. When she treats her husband responsibly, she cultivates the most sublime qualities within herself. Otherwise, she feels that her life is torn apart. There's no happiness, no joy. There is some kind of inner emotional dryness. A person feels a very great dissatisfaction in life. Depression, restlessness, irritability, tension arise. If the second marriage is better, it's simply because of more compatibility, and that's all. It doesn't mean that it would have been worse to marry correctly the first time. It would have been much better. Someone wrote to me here, something is not recommended by a doctor. I don't want to say whether it's a good or bad doctor. If a herbal mixture is recommended, it is less likely to be suitable unless the person has tested each herb first. It's worse to treat with a mixture. If some component doesn't suit, the whole mixture doesn't suit either. The biological power is lost significantly. It's best to test some herbs and then you can mix them. You can try. It's all very simple and works immediately. How to treat an ulcer on the tongue? The tongue is the organ of speech. If a person's speech is very caustic, they develop an ulcer on the tongue. You can laugh, but it's true. One needs to purify their speech. It's very difficult to treat the tongue, otherwise it's delicate. What can you apply to it? It's a problem. Scientists believe that a runny nose corresponds to the hemisphere of the body side. Yes, that's true. If a hemisphere of the brain is suppressed, mucus accumulates there. If it's overexcited, mucus can also accumulate. It's written here. You think the opposite. I didn't say that. Do the Vedas recognize modern methods of preservation? Yes, I think they do. I haven't studied this question deeply. The best preservation is drying. When you dry berries, they retain all their properties. When you freeze them, they lose half of their properties. You can dry all plants. Anything can be dried. There's even dried milk. A dried product retains all its power. In powder form, it even increases its strength. If you apply it in liquid form, it won't be effective, but if you dry it and apply it, it will have much more influence. How to treat heel spurs? For this, you need to stop being rude to others and stop committing harsh actions towards yourself and others. Yarrow root can help. It deals with such problems. It's very gentle. What herb is good for hypothyroidism with nodules? Yarrow root plus flaxseed. What causes tooth decay? Teeth decay due to harsh and cruel actions. They also decay due to ignorance when a person eats any food at the wrong time. Most often they decay because a person eats sweet food at the wrong time. Also protein food and bread. Also teeth deteriorate in your city because there is a lot of chlorine in the water. When you drink chlorinated water, they also deteriorate very much because of this. Water should always be boiled before use and neutralized with spices and pure goodness. Treatment of uterine fibroids is carried out using yarrow roots. Sometimes celandine root, chili pepper is suitable. Where is the soul of a person who is under anesthesia during a surgery? The soul is always in the heart area right here and never leaves there. Even if you remove the heart, it still remains here. The soul doesn't go anywhere. While a person is alive, it remains suspended in the energy flows of the body. These energy flows hold it in one place so rigidly that even if you cut off a person's head, as long as the soul feels the need to be in this body, it will remain there in that exact place. And then it leaves through the 108 subtle energy channels of our body. It exits through one of the 7 chakras. If it leaves through the middle chakras, then the person is born on the middle planets. This is the level of Earth. As we discussed, it's very large, with a span of 4 billion, with many different planets, different dimensions. And a person can be born at this level. If the soul exits through the upper center, then one is born on the higher planets. If it leaves through this center, then one goes to the spiritual world. And if it leaves through the lower centers, they go to the lower planets. If a person overeats a lot, eats a lot, one can be born on the lower planets of a higher type. If a person exhausted their lower centers with carnal desires, one goes to lower planets. If one treats everyone with hatred and disgust, one goes to the lowest planets immediately. A person gets purified there, suffers, and then returns, most often being born in an animal body. Now, many animals are born specifically to accompany people. That means they should be born as humans in the next life. But some animals degrade. Cows most often are born as humans in the next life. Cows, monkeys, such animals. Cows, monkeys, elephants, dolphins, I think, are born as humans in the next life. But such animals as dogs, cats often degrade. In the next life, they are more often born, either in the same form or lower. Now, there are many dogs, with such ugly faces. These are people who lived such a lifestyle. You can understand a dog's character by its face. A dog with a body without fur, so shiny with such a tail, and a face like a brick. Well, this dog was probably a good person in the previous life. Yes, they are all smart. They understand everything, because they were human in the past life. They understand everything. They are very intelligent. Is having many indoor plants at home good or bad? It's good if these plants are in pure goodness. If in degradation, then it's bad. I don't know names of plants well. I know that geranium is in passion. All climbing plants are plants in degradation most often because they parasitize, so most often they are in degradation. The best plants in pure goodness are cacti, roses. Roses can be grown. So plants that are straight and flowering and that smell with a gentle sweet aroma, this means they are in pure goodness. Aloe is in pure goodness, kalanko. I'm not sure about chrysanthemums. Lemon is a mixture of pure goodness and passion. They can be grown. Is it possible to make a time adjustment in our region? 1 hour ahead. This is the so-called daylight saving time. Someone sent the time 1 hour ahead, so everything shifts for you. It means that 1 o'clock is like 12, 7 is like 6 o'clock, like that. Yes, therefore you can sleep until 7. Until 7 means until 6. In general, you need to sleep until 6, but since it's an hour later here, you can sleep until 7. Regarding treatment with stones, what harm can it cause? If it's done under skilled supervision, there will be no harm. And if there's some harm, you will feel that. If a person simply doesn't know the power of stones, buys some chain, and God forbid if one wears it on parts of the body that strongly affect a person, one can cause colossal harm to themselves. Therefore, if you see someone with stones here like this, ask them, do you even understand what you're doing? You will help a person if you ask whether one feels bad. Most often, if one removes the stones, one feels better in many cases. Magnets. All magnets are in passion, so if you are offered magnetic treatment, it's best to refuse. It rarely helps deeply. These magnets, these magnetic rocks are all in passion. They have very little pure goodness. I almost never use magnetic stones in treatment. They can relieve pain temporarily, but overall they gradually destroy the body, so it's better not to treat with magnets. Copper is good for healing, but not always. In general, I don't advise treating with metals either. It's best to treat with stones. What can you say about left-handed people? You just need to understand the meaning. We have a hemisphere of will, that's why we act according to our will. The meaning of action lies in our desire to act. But some people have such a quality, their will is weaker than the desire to think. That means they just do something by thinking. You see, they act by desiring, just by thinking. Therefore, left-handed people are those whose quality of will is replaced. They do everything with their left hand. The hemisphere of thought does everything. That means they live by thoughts, not by actions. Is it possible to wear other people's clothes bought in a thrift store? Yes, but before that you need to wash this item with cow manure. Then all the bad subtle energy leaves this item. This is the strongest cleansing. Cow manure is used to purify everything that exists and is related to the subtle energies of other living beings. According to the Vedas, if you wash the floor with manure, the room is cleansed of everyone who previously lived in this place. And it is also cleansed of all befoulment, so I advise you to always add a little cow manure to water, and when you wash the floor you will feel freshness, extraordinary freshness in the room. Who has done this? I've already talked about this. Raise your hand. You can go up to them and ask. They undoubtedly felt it. Yes? It became fresher, the atmosphere was cleared, it became easy to breathe in this place. This is what happens. It has such an effect. You just need to know these laws, but few people know. The same goes for any items, rings, for example, everything if washed with manure, all the power of another person vanishes. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.